Democrats ramp up calls for rioting as 700 Marines and 2,000 additional National Guardsmen are sent to Los Angeles. Governor Gavin Newsom of California sues President Trump, and leaked audio from a Democratic National Committee call shows the party is falling apart from the inside. I'm Tony Kinnett, host of the Daily Signal's Tony Kinnett Cast, syndicated nationally at 7 p.m. Eastern. It is Tuesday, June 10th, 2025. This is the Daily Signal's top news in 10. After a severe increase in intensity in the riots in Los Angeles, including blocking highways and attempted murder of police officers, U.S. Northern Command announced that Marines with the 2nd Battalion, 7th Marines, who were placed in an alert status over the weekend to support the current Los Angeles mission, have departed for the greater Los Angeles area. Additionally, the President of the United States has called for an additional 2,000 troops from the California National Guard to be dispatched immediately to LA, bringing the total number of troops expected to be on the ground in the city of Los Angeles to 4,700. Marines were deployed along with the National Guard in 1992 after the Rodney King LA race riots under the Insurrection Act order and Title X order of George H.W. Bush. While California Governor Gavin Newsom has tried to soft pedal the response of the rioters to those in uniform,
these guys, these idiots that are jumping up on cars, that are burning these Waymos, these people, that's a disgrace. And the impact they're having on our democracy, there's a lot at risk here. I mean, this is not just a simple act of disobedience. They should be arrested. They should be held accountable. Anyone who attacks any innocent person, including a law enforcement person that's lawfully doing their job, they're members of our community just like everybody else. They go to the same churches. They're good human beings. And, just because we don't like Donald Trump, just because we don't like their orders, doesn't mean you have the right to hurt or harm people. And that goes for them as well. And we'll hold everybody to a higher level of accountability. But that's not what Trump is after. He's not for peacemaking. He's here for war. He wants a civil war on the street.
Mayor Karen Bass of Los Angeles stood in solidarity with the rioters.
Now to Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass. Hi, Mayor. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hi.
Hi. So what are you and
on.
your police force? I know how busy you are preparing for the hours ahead. What are you expecting on that front?
Well, I just have to say that if you dial back time and go to Friday, if immigration raids had not happened here, we would not have the disorder that went on last night. I will tell you that it is peaceful now, but we do not know where and when the next raids will be. That is the concern, because people in the city have a rapid response network. If they see ICE, they go out and they protest. And so it's just a recipe for pandemonium that is completely unnecessary. Nothing was happening here. Los Angeles was peaceful before Friday. When we find out when and where the other raids are going to happen, that will determine how the police respond.
Democrat Senator Chris Murphy of Connecticut called for nationwide street protests, calling the Los Angeles protests pretty small.
I mean, my first message is to keep it peaceful. I mean, obviously, this is a moment where we have to be on the streets all over the country to protest what's happening to our immigrant community, but more broadly to protest what's happening to our democracy. This is the most corrupt administration in the history of the country, and we are going to rise to this moment by being out there on the streets. But ultimately, I think the country sees what Donald Trump is trying to do here. He's looking for a fight. There's nothing in what he is doing that is about peace or about restoring order. He's taking a protest that is relatively isolated. People in Los Angeles over the weekend would tell you that 99% of them went about their day, and it was pretty normal because this is not an invasion that has taken over the entire city. And he's trying to turn a protest that is pretty small into something that involves an even bigger confrontation so that he might actually be able to invoke the Insurrection Act. That would be a defining story of the week if he were to do it. And I just don't think, I think we have to make sure that we understand to not take him at his word. He's looking for a fight. He's not trying to calm tensions.
One of the left-wing groups instigating the riots to a further fever pitch is Becky Pringle, head of the largest teachers union in the country, the National Education Association.
We the people! We the people! We the people! Yeah! All of us must have that right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of justice.
In response to the Trump administration's deployment of the U.S. Marines and the National Guard to Los Angeles, California Governor Gavin Newsom has filed a lawsuit against President Trump, Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of Defense, and the Department of Defense in general, suggesting in a post yesterday evening, quote, "One of the cornerstones of our nation and our democracy is that our people are governed by civil, not military rule. The founders enshrined these principles in our Constitution that a government should be accountable to its people, guided by the rule of law, and one of civil authority, not military rule. California will be standing up for those principles in court at Real Donald Trump." As legal experts and former federal prosecutors have already pointed out, the complaint filed by Newsom has two serious issues. First, Title X authority given to the President of the United States since 1940, which allows him to federalize certain parts of the National Guard, doesn't have the language that Newsom suggests binding that authority to the governor of a state. Second, several clauses and specific language in both Title X and Title 32 regarding how the National Guard may be deployed are completely ignored and, in fact, acted as if they don't even exist in the particular Newsom complaint. Regardless, it is not unlikely that a federal district court judge might issue some type of injunction or block during this lawsuit, attempting to wrest the California National Guard from the presidential administration or the Department of Defense, causing a crisis in the chain of command as well as a constitutional crisis, which very well might place the California National Guardsmen, the LAPD, and the U.S. Marines in Los Angeles in significant danger. And while the Los Angeles riot story has taken up pretty much all of the news cycles across the legacy and new media, a Politico exclusive revealing audio recorded in a Democratic National Committee call from Ken Martin reveals that the Democratic Party may be imploding. According to Holly Otterbein, the Democratic National Committee Chair Ken Martin told party leaders in a recent private conversation that he is unsure about his ability to lead the party because of the infighting created by Vice Chair David Hogg. David Hogg, the young former vice chair of the DNC, of course, caused a lot of controversy over his desire to raise PACs in order to primary incumbents in the Democratic Party.
And I'll say, look, it has plenty of warts, and we're all trying to change those for sure. But the longer we continue this fight, the harder it is for us to actually do what we all want to do, which is make a difference in this country again. So I deeply respect you, David. I too was looking forward to working with you, but this has created a situation, and I'll be very honest with you, for the first time in my 100 days on this job, and Jessica knows this, the other night I said to myself for the first time, I don't know if I want to do this anymore. And partly not because of the stress and all the naysayers, right? I'm used to that. I've spent 14 years as a chair. I'm used to getting beat up on. But, you know, this is really everything, you know, from this election, this credentials report, and how Malcolm's been treated in this, to, you know, the fact the election itself, how Shasti and Gina were treated in this. I'm just quite frustrated to be in this position, because what you've done, whether you like it or not, or know it or not, David, is no one knows who the hell I am, right? I'm trying to get my sea legs underneath of me and actually develop any amount of credibility so I can go out there and raise the money and do the job I need to put ourselves in a position to win. And again, I don't think you intended this, but you essentially destroyed any chance I have to show the leadership that I need to. So it's really frustrating.
Before you go, head down to the description and make sure you're subscribed to the Tony Kinnett Cast. And join us tonight for a host of other stories that are just a bit underreported, and of course, a couple of close-ups of the Marines putting things to rights in Los Angeles. I'm Tony Kinnett, and this has been the Daily Signal's Top News in 10. Take care.